Hey, it's Scott again. Today we're going to take a few minutes to teach you how to go bottom fishing. The general, let's go out and catch something for the kids. If it's a big fish, great. If it's just a fish, even better. We're going to take care of keeping some crazy kids off of your back. All right. Before you can go bottom fishing, you have to have two setups for your anchor. One for rocky areas and shallows, and one for deep, sandy areas. And there's a big difference between the two, mostly in the chain. The chain for my Delta style anchor, which is an anchor I'm going to throw out in 20 to 45 feet of water just to go yellowtailing or catch bait fish. It drives into the sand, but it can't get stuck in a piece of coral and break. And after you break a couple quick Danforths, you're going to understand spending a $25 on a Delta anchor is going to save you so much time in the future from not being able to anchor the rest of the day, needing to go back to your local West Marine to find another anchor versus just buying two in the beginning and then using the right one in the right situation. So for us, we have a go-to. We have 200 feet of line attached to 15 foot, a 3/8 chain attached to our Delta anchor. That is our go-to. Obviously, it's mobile. We actually have it in a fish ice basket. It fits in a hatch. And when we decide to stop the boat and we got to catch a bait fish or just go try to catch some mangroves or yellowtails with our kids, this one comes out, it's deployed easily, and it's super simple for one person to pull back into the boat. So again, you got your Delta, 17 pounds. This is for our boat, which is 36. You could do a next size smaller for the typical 21 to 25 footer. And of course, there's a chart at your West Marine that'll show you exact size anchor you need for your size boat. It's usually right there in the anchor section. Here's what I have, here's what I need to buy. To pull the anchors, we've done it so many times on Into Blue in the last few years. It's as simple as an anchor pulling system. It's a ball, 2 feet of line, and a metal hook that you slap around the line. You place over the line, secure the line to the boat, throw it in the water, and then drive away, being sure not to run the ball over. Once it goes down and gets to the right pressure point, it's going to lift the anchor up for you, and you're going to keep going forward so it comes back to the surface and you see the anchor spinning around like a propeller. That's when you stop and you don't have to hurry. Now the anchor is hanging on the surface. You stop your boat and drift right back to it, secure it for the day, and then you're off to go to your next spot. These are pre-made at West Marine with the line and the hook all together. So how do I do it, Scott? You can do it yourself by buying a ball, piece of line, and the anchor puller wire, or you can just buy the kit already made and it's set it and forget it. For a deep water, when we get out to those bigger yellowtails, you caught the snappers, the small yellowtails and mangroves for the kids. But now you want to go try to catch a bigger fish. Fish will be a little slower, but the rewards will be greater. Once you're going to go over the outside, once you get to 85 to 100 feet, there's more sand out there, and these deltas aren't going to catch. It's just not going to work. So you're going to have to switch to your Danforth. And for the Danforths to stick, they need more chain. This one is set for our boat, 36 feet, but we've got 35 feet of chain, and that's heavy. Getting that out of the boat and overboard takes two people. But when it gets to the bottom, you're going to stick where you want to. You're not going to drift away from the spot and then have to pull it over and over again. So get the anchor Danforth the right size for your boat, and then make sure you have 35 foot of chain, and it's going to stick in the sand for you every time. Now for us, we like to go a little beyond that. We like to get out to 200 feet to anchor on wrecks. Nothing changes, but you need more line. We need 600 feet. So I have a spool of 600 in the bow of the boat, cut in two pieces, 400 and another 200 shot, which I'm using on this anchor. And it's just a matter of keeping a nice heavy-duty carabiner clip. This is the end of my 400 feet to a nice long loop. If I need to add another, if I miss, I'm a little short, I'm just going to put this 1,000-pound clip on. I'll get the other end of my 200 feet, and just like that, I got 600 feet. And I'm going to make an adjustment to get right on the wreck. And that's as simple as having a nice 1,000-pound carabiner clip in your arsenal. Again, all this stuff is from West Marine. Go to your local West Marine, and any of the associates can help you set up your boat for anchoring without a problem. So we're going to start with bottom fishing. Once we get anchored up, chum's going, we're going to take our time and we're going to set up a bottom rod. And it's just a fish finder rig. It's a lead weight, appropriate amount of weight for the current for the day. This is a 10, but have 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, depending on how much current you have. You just want to be a hold bottom with a big fat shrimp, a chunk of ballyhoo, or a whole ballyhoo, or a live bait, pinfish, ballyhoo, or pilchard. It's just a matter of just getting a lead anchored above the hook. So we're gonna get our lead on, and then we're gonna start, for all practical purposes, we're gonna start with 40-pound leader. All right, so I have a spool of 15, 20, and 40. I would have 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, and 40 for a day of fishing. We got a piece of 40, we're just going to tie a fisherman's knot on this end with the hook. 7 times up, then back through the main hole. Little spit, pull it tight. Practice that in the garage. Anyone can tie it. Trim it close. And we'll tie that on with the same knot to the swivel. Keep a bag of barrel swivels on your boat all the time. Variety of hooks from 1/0 to 5/0. Don't have to have hundreds of them, just a few packs. All right, so this is your standard go-to checking out the bottom rig. A 2 to 10 ounce lead depending on the current, barrel swivel, 6 foot a leader, and a hook from 1/0 to 5/0 depending on the size of your baits. It can be live or dead, a big fat shrimp, live pilchard, pinfish, or a ballyhoo chunk, and you're good to go. All right. So now we got someone working the bottom. All right, now we're going to work the chum line. We're going to set up with 2 rods, both 5 or 6 thousandths of your choice. I like to fill the main line with 20-pound mono. I use braid, but braid won't sink in current like mono will. So I have braid underneath. This is a top shot of mono. And one of them is going to use straight 20 to a jig. These jigs are available in all the local tackle stores and West Marine in the Florida Keys. It's just a nice 1/0 hook with a little bit of weight, with a little bit of color. I'm going to tie that on. If I could see it. I know it's there. Oh. It's there, but it's full of paint. It's full of paint, just take another one, clear it out. All right, this time it'll probably work. Tie on your jig. There we go. Your favorite knot. Whatever your favorite knot is, tie it a lot. All right. So now we've got the chum bag off the back of the boat, pouring the chum out to the fish. The fish will come up off the bottom and you start to see them swimming around. And you got a jig to get your bait down under the current at a steady pace. We're going to put a chunk of shrimp, a whole shrimp or a piece of shrimp, silverside minnows, strips of ballyhoo, stuff that's about the size of the chum coming out of your bag. You can do a few big ones just to try it, but you'll find more often than not, anything the size of your thumbnail or pinky nail, depending on how your chum bag's going out, it's going to get more bites. But this is leaded just to kind of help it get off the surface. If your bait's not getting down the same depth as the chum, then it's not going to be where the fish are feeding. So these come in a variety of sizes as well, from 1/8 ounce to 3/8 ounce. Buy a few of each, and then each day work with the current so you know that you're getting your bait in the zone as it's drifting back. Some days you can't use a jig. The yellowtail's eyes are just too strong. The water's too clear. So you're just going to change it up and go to a #1 brown hook, a little live bait brown hook, #1, size of your fingernail. That hook's too small. No, it's not. They're not going to eat anything else. This will catch a 5-pound yellowtail all day long. This will catch a 12-pound mutton all day long. You just have to trust the process. Again, you're going to tie this to your leader, 12, 15, or 20 pound. And with this hook, you're going to take the bait and completely make the hook disappear. A piece of red meat from bonita, a piece of kingfish belly, a shrimp segmented into little chunks. Anything that's the size of the chum or even smaller. All right, if it's so small, how are they going to find it? There's so much chum in the water. What I like to do is whatever piece of bait I do choose to put on the hook that's this small is to throw 3 or 4 pieces in at the same time. Have the rod in free spool, have your buddy jig the chum bag, cover your bait completely around the hook, then throw freebies plus this one in at the same time and let the 5 pieces or 6 pieces drift back together. That'll show the yellowtails that, oh, here's another type of food coming, and they'll race to eat it. But that's when they're really being fussy. You got to go to a bare hook and multiple pieces of bait with one with a hook hidden in it. So in review, we've got our little light spinning rods, 5 to 6 thousandths full of 20-pound mono. If the fish aren't biting that, then we're going to go down to 15-pound. We're going to do a little butt splice of 6 feet of 15-pound or a butt splice of 12-pound. If you got to go to 10-pound to get the bites, you might not catch as many fish, but sometimes going to 10-pound in Florida Keys will get you all the bites you want, but you're only going to catch 20% of them. But it's still better than not getting any bites at all. After that's done, we've got someone fishing for groupers on the bottom. We've got 2 people free lining the surface, one with a jig, one with no jig. Now we want to figure out what's on the surface in the back of the slip. That's where the 8,000 or 10,000 size reel comes in with the braid. We're going to take this and we're going to put some 40-pound on here, probably 2 arm lengths. We're going to do a uni to uni knot to attach it real quick. Double uni here, 2, 3, 4. Pull it together, nice and slow. All right. Now we got braid to mono. And now what are we going to put into that? Generally, we're going to put a nice live bait out. So we're going to go with a 1-0 that fits into a ballyhooer pitcher real nice. And we'll start with straight mono, because that's where the kings and the sails and maybe the cobias are going to come from the back and work their way in. So we're going to start with straight mono just to make sure that in case a big mutton swam up to the surface or that 5-pound yellowtail that just won't come to the chum line rolls up on you, he'll bite it. And this one, you're just going to cast way behind the chum line and free line it out, a 1/4 spool, and then work your way back in. You don't want to ever stop the bait on the surface, because once you're anchored up, it's going to start spinning. So this is a pool that's got to be dedicated to an angler that's really the one friend of yours that wants the big fish. They need to be working that behind the chum line, just free lining it out, waiting for the pickup. If it starts getting cut off, you're going to add 10-inch trace of number 3 wire, and then you'll start catching those kings or those Cerro mackerels that are back there being a little pesky. So here's the basic setup for taking the kids fishing. You got a fish finding conventional pole. That's a Speedmaster. We've got a 5,000 or 6,000 spinning reel with a 7-foot rod. The 7-foot rod's kind of important so that you can work the fish around the outboard motors. All of you guys are going to be anchored up with an outboard motor right in the way. And a 7-foot pole is definitely going to be the choice to work the fish around the motors so you can get them into the dip net. And then you have one more 8,000 or 10,000 set up for the surface, for the mackerels, or for the bigger fish that just are working the backside. Now, what I have here is everything you need to go fishing on the reef. A couple of jigs to work the bottom, some yellowtail jigs to work the mid-water column, some yellowtail hooks to work the surface, some barrel swivels, a variety of leads, and different sizes of fluorocarbon from 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, 30, up to 40. We started the morning off taking the kids fishing, making sure they're happy. They've caught their first yellowtail, mangrove snapper, maybe even a small mutton, maybe a keeper mutton, but they're involved. And now we want to catch something, the trophy fish, the big snappers. We moved out to 85 to 120, 200 feet. We're drifting the wrecks. Now that we're on the wrecks, we got to kind of get a little more technical. We're still going to go with the fish finder rig drifting around the wrecks out there. But now we got to make the leaders 30 feet long. So we're going to tie our lead, and this is an 8 ounce. I'm probably going to start with 10, maybe move to 12, depending on how fast the boat's drifting. We got our barrel swivel. We're going to put 30 pounds to 40 pound. Then we're going to put 30 feet minimum of 40-pound fluorocarbon to our hook. The hooks are going to be very similar to what we used inshore. They're just going to match the bait. Big pilchards, thread fins, goggle eyes, 1, 2, 3, 0, up to 5, 0. Circle hooks will take care of that job. And that's a really nice rig. It's easy to tie. But at the end of the day, if we hook a black fin or a mahi-mahi on a drop or a big king, foul hook him and he doesn't go through the leader, or a cobia, the end game is really tough with this rig, because that fish is 30 feet away, spinning, trying to save his life, and you got a lead over your head. You have a new angler with the rod tips hitting you with the rod, and then the lead's coming around you. It's really just a difficult situation for you to move that fish 30 feet without breaking it off. Sure, you can do it, but the stress level is way high. So what I like to do, especially when the big kings are around and the cobias move on the wrecks, which is the fall, I like to change this rig completely. So what are we going to do? We're going to put a 40-foot wind on here, and we're going to make a dropper loop. So first thing we're going to do is get our 40-pound leader, and we're going to get 5 arm lengths of me. That's going to be 30 plus feet. All right. We're going to tie it on with a double uni knot. Slide up together. Check it. Trim it. All right, now, why am I doing this? Now, 12 inches from this knot, I'm going to put a dropper loop in my main line. And from the dropper loop, I'm going to snap on a lead weight with a snap swivel that I can take off. The dropper loop can go through the guides, and my angler can wind the fish all the way to the side of the boat where I can gaff it without ever having to get hands on. And when it's hands on, anything can happen. So we're 12 to 18 inches away. Dropper loop. You take the main loop, and then from that loop, you're going to just spin it inside of itself 5 times. All right, once you got 5 times, you're going to bring this loop, the bottom of the original loop, through the center. It's creating a double fisherman's knot. All right? So your fingers holding it, start pulling it together, and then you got this far along, finish it nice and slow. All right, that's an 85% knot, and it's not going to be part of the end game. So it's going to get you where you need to be. All right, so now I've pre-made in a tackle drawer 10, 8, 12 ounce leads with a small snap swivel. They're going to go on. And that's going to take your bait to the bottom, and you've still got your live bait 30 feet from the end. When the fish bites, comes to the surface, whoever's there real quick snaps it off, gets it off of there, and then boom, you're fighting a fish without any more lead in the way. If sailfish gets on there, He's 30 feet away before he goes crazy. You still get this off. Big cobia, get him right to the gaff. Big kings. This will put a lot more fish in the boat, just learning to tie that one knot, the dropper loop. Okay. And you can see to finish the dropper loop, it winds right onto the reel. Here comes our 30 feet of leader. We're still fighting the fish. We're still fighting the fish. Still fighting the fish. Still fighting the fish. And then boom. Put the hook on here. And we're ready to gaff or net our fish. We keep both on here. 7-foot gaff with a 2-inch hook on it. 7-foot gaff with a 2-inch hook or 4-inch hook is perfect for the reef, for the Cerro mackerels and kingfish, small dolphin. Might want a 4-inch gaff for a cobia or a big blackfin tuna. All right, so that is how you drift a wreck. While you're drifting, you got to be ready with a vertical jig. As soon as you mark something in the water line, as soon as you mark something in the water column and you want to check it out before you go through all the trouble of drifting, you want to take the Shimano Butterfly Monarch. These are the newest and most effective jigs on the market today. Colors are a personal preference. I love the blues and the greens and the purples. So we're going to take our 8,000 or our 10,000 spinning reel, have a piece of mono on there, 40, 50, 60 pound. You can go a little heavier with the vertical jigs. We always start with 40, then work our way up or down. And as soon as you're out on that wreck, hunting for where you want to make your drift, and there's something way up the water, you just fire this down first. This is your fish finder. You have a fish finder machine and you have fish finder actual bait, the vertical jig. All right, so we spent all morning with the kids chumming. Now we're drifting for the big fish. We've either caught a big amberjack, a trophy mutton snapper, black groupers. This is all the tackle we use all day. This is the way you go. You go to a local West Marine. Everything's available that I've shown you here today. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And these few setups can catch everything in the Florida Keys. You need to get out there, get to your West Marine, get the right products, and get on the water. The edge is having a high-speed chum bag. They're easy to clean up, easy to store, and they're heavy duty. You don't have to open and close the chum bag. You just need to unload your 7 pounds or 25 pounds of chum into here, just drop it overboard, and it's going to go to work. Every time you shake it, this heavy mesh is going to grind more chum out, and you're going to get a heavy chum line. Whoever chums the most catches the most. It's very simple. Make sure you take at least a case on any given day. 2 cases is better if you have room for it. You can always bring it back and refreeze it. But a high-speed chum bag, they sell these at all the West Marines in the Florida Keys. But with this and more chum than the next guy, it's going to make a great day of fishing.